My name is Keera Wilmuth, and today I will be talking about my evaluation project, which is a wellness program with an asylum seeker on the Texas-Mexico border. The agency that I conducted the wellness program at and am doing my field placement at is called La Posada Providencia. It is located in San Benito, Texas, just a few miles from Mexico. We are close to the Brownsville, Matamoros, Mexico port of entry. We are an emergency shelter for asylum seekers, refugees, and migrants who are impacted by homelessness. We can provide short-term and long-term support for guests. We provide holistic support such as food, shelter, clothing, case management, legal and medical resources, mental health services, ESL classes, job readiness trainings, life skill classes, and client mentorship. In the past 31 years, we have served over 11,000 individuals from 87 countries around the world. Here is a picture of a new area for short-term guests staying at our shelter for just a few hours. Due to the new policy changes on migration, we have received many more clients. So here's just a first-hand look at what one of the areas of our shelter looks like. The mental health of asylum seekers is the problem being addressed in this program. This is a single case design, and the client participating is a 35-year-old male from South Asia who is a long-term client at La Posada. I wanted to see if the wellness program would improve his mental health through the implementation of increased physical activity and mindfulness activities. My evaluation question is, how does increased physical activity and mindfulness activities impact an asylum seeker's mental health? The majority of our clients at La Posada have come to the United States fleeing for safety from political oppression, natural disasters, and threats to their safety. Leaving one's country and traveling to a new one can be a scary and challenging journey. And many of them had to previously sleep in a tent camp in Matamoros, Mexico for sometimes up to 2 years. So you can imagine that they have experienced a lot of stressors and traumas in the past couple of years. Because of this, many asylum seekers and most of our clients experience mental health disorders. Roughly 1 in 3 asylum seekers and refugees undergo depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress disorders, according to Turini, Pergado, Balere, Nose, Ostuzzi, and Barbui. There have been many studies on this, and a study done by Mayorga, DeVry, and Wardle, excuse me if I say this wrong, indicates that mindfulness activities helped improve the mental health of a treatment group. This is what the wellness program looked like that I designed. I wrote this in both Spanish and English. Although the client I worked with speaks English, I also designed it in Spanish for others to use. It has 5 days of exercises, if they would like to do that, general strategies for mental wellness, the definition of self-care, and 3 examples of self-care, then 3 mindfulness activities. While working with the client, he independently increased his physical activity, and we did meditation and mindfulness activities together. At the beginning of this program, I had to change it from a program evaluation to a single case evaluation. The participant received the wellness program pamphlet, then we read through the practice and different mindfulness activities, read through and practiced the different mindfulness activities 3 to 4 times a week. We would do them outside. I wanted to give him tools he could use to improve his mental health over a long period of time, even after he leaves La Posada. I conducted this using a pre- and post-test evaluation design. I gave him a pre-test evaluating his mental health before the program, then I gave him a post-test with the same questions. I wanted to see how the numbers changed over time. Factors that could impact the internal validity of the program include just the client's life in general. For example, he could be experiencing some things outside of the program, such as changes in his legal case or changes to his family at home that could have independently impacted his mental health. So, he might have experienced something very happy toward the end of our program, such as maybe he has found out that he is about to be granted asylum, and that would impact his mental health, and then he might report higher levels of mental health, even if the program was not the reason for that. I was really interested to see how the numbers he self reported for mental health changed over time after participating in this program. Threats to validity could have been maybe he simply wanted to be nice whenever he reported his numbers at the end. He might have wanted to make me feel like my program had an effect. Or he also took the post test directly after completing a mindfulness activity, and this could have impacted his scores because he was relaxed. Challenges to the program included the Texas winter freeze in February. I didn't have power at my house, and they didn't have power at La Posada Providencia, so I was not able to complete any mindfulness activities with him that week. And also, like I said, I had to change from program evaluation to a single case evaluation, and that may have impacted the program. Here are the pre survey questions that he filled out. The answers were from 1 to 10 with indicators on number 1 and the number 10, 10 being the best and 1 being the worst. I gave him the same questions afterward, but with the appropriate wording. So here is a chart that shows his self rating before and after the client wellness program. So, for example, his mental health self rating before was at a 4, and then at the end, it was at a 9. His quality of sleep increased by 4 numbers, and his productivity stayed the same. Then he said that his frequency of happiness, so he felt happiness more often afterward, and then he also felt more positive about life, and he also felt more calm. In this study, my T-stat was negative 2.821. Because of this, you can assume that my results were not significant. And I wasn't sure if I would have experienced significance in my data just because of how short the program was. So, although the results were not significant, this project was a great learning experience for me. The client enjoyed it, and he asked if we could continue to do mindfulness activities together because he claimed it helped his mental health even after the program had officially finished. There were a few limitations, so the program was too short. We were only able to work together for about 6 weeks, and the data also could have benefited from having more participants. Originally, like I said, I wanted to complete this program as a program evaluation, so I wanted to have at least 5 individuals doing this with me every week. However, due to the nature of the agency I work at, we were not able to commit to having that many people, so we changed it to a single case evaluation. One thing that I needed to practice was cultural competency and cultural humility. So the culture in the United States is very individualistic, whereas other cultures around the world are collectivist. And I did not want to throw my individualistic ideas of self care and mindfulness onto a client that may not benefit from that. Before the program, he and I talked about potential cultural differences and how I could best work with him and utilize his cultural practices. And through this, I found that in his home country, he did do a lot of meditation and he found that really calming. So, one thing that we did is we talked a lot about, we did many meditation, mindfulness activities throughout the program because I wanted to utilize things that he had already liked in the past. I learned that it is important to evaluate someone's progress while working with them. So, when I was doing this program with him, he shared which mindfulness activities he liked more than others. So I could kind of tailor my plan to his needs. And I think that it would have benefited from more participants for a longer time. But overall, I'm really thankful that I was able to do this program and that I was able to design it and learn how to um, tailor a program to an individual's needs, because each individual is going to react differently and have different needs when it comes to their mental health. Here are two of my references. Thank you so much for listening to my project, and if you have any questions at all, feel free to email me at my email at the bottom. Thank you.